G'day, boys.
Whoa, fuck yeah.
Help, I'm in the pre-roll.
Welcome to the pre-roll.
Oh, yeah.
We just want to say a massive thank you for listening to the MacPack podcast.
Thank you,
if
everyone.
if you are enjoying the episode, obviously you enjoyed this one, hasn't started yet. Slide in. When you're on Spotify, you can slide down and let us know what you thought of the episode.
Yes, leave us a review. It's good because, feedback on a specific episode is great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We love it. So make sure that you just scroll down. It might be a different question as well. You can just scroll down and let us know what you think of the app. You might be able to answer the question. If you're on Apple Pods, just leave us a review, 5 stars.
Yep,
if you're on
5
Spotify,
stars.
Just answer the question and 5 stars. And make sure to tell your friends to join in down here on the MacPack podcast.
Bang
We
on the
love
money.
you. We love your friends.
That's it.
We do. That's how we operate. Enjoy. G'day and welcome to the MacPack.
We're back.
My name's Jake McKenna, and to my left this week in order, the man on the panel who is the biggest Concetta Caristo fan. It's my little brother Joe. How are you, boy?
Yes, there's nothing I love more than listening to Triple J Breakfast as I drive into work.
And on my right, coming at 6'1" as he does each and every week, it's the baby brother of the pack, who we call Junior Boy. Junior Boy, how are you?
Boys, this will be our third ever Triple J breakfast host we've had on the show.
It will be indeed. However, it's our first active Triple J breakfast host. We've had a few retirees join us over
is
the
true.
journey. A few boys who have done the job and have moved on out of the job. This is the first time you're able to hear this person live.
Yeah. The
Wow,
morning
this-
that you listen to the podcast.
Exactly right. She also dominates the airwaves, obviously on Triple J. She does some stuff on TV, Taskmaster and the likes. She's a ripping stand-up comedian. We chat about it all, as well as some stories and some secret tales about Triple J. It's a massive ep. Let's get into it. Boys.
Flamingos.
How are we all? Are we all well?
Bloody stoked to be here, Jake, joined by some Triple J royalty today.
We are indeed. We've had some fantastic Triple J alumni join us over the journey.
I know, right?
You may have seen this young lady on Question Everything. She's been on Guy Montgomery's Guy Mont Spelling Bee. One of my favourites, Taskmaster.
Taskmaster, of course.
Yes, dude.
And if you don't know her from any of those things, you would have at least heard her on Triple J doing breakfast alongside Luka. It is, of course, Concetta Caristo. How are you, Concetta?
Hi guys, I'm so good. It's so nice to talk to you.
Fantastic to have you here. Joining us from Sydney as well.
Woohoo!
The big city.
Sydney represent. Yes.
I mentioned off the top, you're doing breakfast radio. You've been doing that for a few years now. Your day's probably been going a lot longer than ours. It would be rude of us not to ask. I feel like it's a generic question. You ask a breakfast radio host, what time did you get up this morning?
4. It's the 4 a.m. wake ups. God, they stink. You can't get around it. Like it just like every morning I'm like, oh my God. And then you don't warm up till you get there. But yeah, it's the 4 a.m. wake ups.
Yeah, that's
even
you.
we get up our show on the community radios at 8 a.m. on Saturday, and it's the earliest we work full time, but that's somehow the earliest I need to wake up is on a Saturday morning, and the alarm goes off at 6:30, and every morning I'm like, what the fuck? I don't have work today. What is happening?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's my sleep-in day. So yeah, for you like to then clock in on the Saturday, it would still like fuck you up a little bit, you know?
Absolutely.
What I love most, and you've kind of already touched on it already, what I love most about tuning into you and Luke every single morning is the high energy that you bring to every single show. I wanted to ask how you force yourself to bring such high energy when you're feeling a little bit tired or gloomy on a grim morning in Sydney.
Oh, thank you, Riley. I think it's like, yeah, the me at 4 a.m. versus the when I start talking on air is, I think I don't know, I guess I just drop into it. I'm like so excited and grateful and knowing that I'm speaking to so many people. Just, I guess I have this responsibility, and it is like still a joy to know that like I get to do that. So in my head, it's just now become part and parcel where I also picture if I was listening, I guess that's what I'd want to hear.
Yeah.
You know, someone be excited about the day. I just want to be that for someone.
Oh, that's awesome. Is there ever a time where you feel like you can't bring as much energy, or you feel like you know, like, is there any tricks you've got in the bag? Because sometimes when we wake up early, we might be slow for the first 10, 20 minutes of the show.
60, 70, 80 minutes of the show.
Oh my God.
Have any tricks in your
Totally.
bag to just amp you up other than Red
That's
Bull?
a great question. Yeah, okay. The tricks are, I think, because definitely sometimes I know there'd be mornings where I sound low energy and dog shit. I try to think about it. But my tricks are like, well, Luka and I will play, you know those Irish kids that made that rap song where it's like,
yes.
ding,
Oh,
give
yeah,
it up, what we do? We'll play that as a pump up song, which can sometimes work. 2, it's honestly like, you know, it's the people you work with. So if I can just get in a silly mood or like ask for a hug, like from one of the producers or something, that like it's through the connecting with others that generally helps me. But I don't have any cool trick where like, oh, I pinch myself, or I have a little, my favorite drink. You know, honestly, I'll like go to Macca's and get a coffee extra early is my only other trick. But no, I don't, that's kind of it.
Nice. We have a tactic called the energy eyeball. We have a little soft plush, like
like a stress
ball,
ball.
Stressful, yeah.
which we just ditch at each other around the studio, and that'll usually get us going.
It's fired up.
That is so good. I'm actually freaking out. That's perfect. Catching and throwing something together. That I want to do that already. I want to go get a ball. And I think that's a great trick. You've just taught me a trick.
It's good. It's part of the show, but occasionally it gets left at home. And Jake, you lost it for a little bit.
Yeah, my girlfriend hit it. Not intentionally, but she put it in a drawer at my place. And for so long, we had no idea it was. So we were literally on the floor in the radio station trying to find this for weeks on end, going, someone wouldn't have stolen this. Where is it? Which piece of furniture is it under?
That is so me. That is your girlfriend is me. I bet she was like trying to organize something and be like, this belongs here.
Yeah,
but
exactly
then you guys
right.
have no idea. You know, you like the ball just sitting out and around.
Well, we had a fruit bowl at one point that sat on the kitchen table, and there was never a single piece of fruit in there. But all of my like little toy footies or soft balls just sat in this thing. Which
Incredible.
was fun until her mates come over and like, what the fuck's going on here?
Before you got into radio, you obviously were in the comedy scene, still are. When was the first time you sort of realised growing up that you were funny and that was something you wanted to pursue?
I think it was just, you know, with my family, I guess, laughter was a thing where like my dad could be a very funny person. So making him laugh was just like, you know, part of your family dynamic of like being a bit funny was a great way, like a great win. And then honestly, like at school, you know, just always like talking and like going for the laugh and being funny. That was just like, just part of who I was at school. Like I just loved, and you know, presentations, it's being funny. It just like, I always wanted to be going for the laugh, and I just loved laughing. So whether it was like making up a silly name for a presentation or picking a silly character, or, you know, I just think I knew pretty early that was my thing.
Yeah, that's fair. Did you have any like comedians that you looked up to or TV shows that you looked up to when you were young?
That's a great question. I don't think there were like, because I never really grew up watching stand-up other than, do you boys even know Joe Avati?
No.
No, I don't.
No, yeah, of course not. It's very WOG coded. It's like he's like this WOG comedian who does a lot of gear about being like growing up WOG and growing up Italian with your grandparents, and you know, it's like those kind of touchstones. So in a lot of like, I think Italian households, you'd have the DVD of this particular comedian. I'd watch him with my family because, you know, you're feeling your culture scene. But it was never like I watched him and go, I want to do stand-up. I just loved laughing. I think it would just be through watching a lot of movies, and a lot like my dad loved movies. My parents both loved movies. So from early on, they were showing me movies, and, you know, that's where I'm seeing like Gold Member and Austin Powers. I'm like, I love funny. I was just drawn to funny stuff, but I can't think of any like particular comedian that I like looked up to. It was the very classic growing up of it's Carl Barron and it's Joe Avati.
Yeah, fair. So did you go and see this? Who was like the first stand-up comedian you saw in the flesh and went, I could give this a red hot crack?
Whoa.
Imagine if you went, no one. I only get up there and do it myself. I hate everyone else.
I didn't realise other people were doing this.
Well, you know, that's so interesting. I'm trying to think my first ever stand-up show, because the truth is like, because I didn't really like. I guess I came very late to stand up. Like I think about this. I think about my partner Ben, my boyfriend. He like grew up listening to stand up comedy albums. His older brother showed him stand up comedy albums. He grew up listening to like in his bed like stand up comedy, and that was his dream. Right? It was very very clear, and for me, I didn't have that affinity to stand up straight away. It was just this idea of being funny and seeing it through movies and TV and just being naturally that. And then I started comedy kind of just through, I don't know, like trying improv and stuff. And I came to stand up very late. It was through doing like comedy reviews and doing improv. And then eventually I realized in this country, like, an avenue to just make comedy happen was the idea of stand-up, which I think really terrified me. And I didn't start doing that till I was like in my 20s, if that makes sense. So when I think of stand-up that I watched, the earliest things I can think of that I was like, wow, this is so cool would be like Amy Schumer or Aziz Ansari. Like I didn't really watch a lot of stand-up comedy specials, but maybe a couple of those I was like, oh, this is sick. Does that mean cool. I just feel like I went blindly into stand-up through the people around me who started doing it versus being like, this is my dream stand-up. I want to be like you.
That's cool. How did your first couple of shows go? What kind of material were you doing? How was the reaction? Were there any hard truths you learned?
Oh, I was heavy on the pussy material is what I'd like to say.
So's Riley.
Sure.
So I do a fair bit of that stuff.
It's good gear.
Me and Joe, actually, we've both written like a type 5, which we performed
twice.
Yeah, twice. We did it once and it went really well. And then we did a podcast episode with Luke Heggie. You know Luke Heggie?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he, like after the show, he was doing a show that night and he asked if we wanted to like,
come along.
Do it as well.
And do the set.
Yeah, it didn't go out as well the second time. and we haven't returned. So did you have any like grim first shows where you were like, oh, maybe I'm not very good at this, but you returned to the scene?
God, yeah. I mean, that is stand up in a nutshell of you at some point like have to bomb and eat shit. But it's that bug that you'll get of being like, but there's something here or I want to try again. And also it's just knowing that like you don't just start it and be perfect at it. It takes time to really like feel comfortable, know what you want to say, understand the timing of like and the wording of things. I'm pretty sure I remember my first gig. It was at a bar called Two Wolves. And I remember it was like a sign up kind of stand up night of like an open mic and it was like a long list and when you're new you're right at the bottom, so you're kind of like waiting for everyone else. And I think I did it with a few friends and we knew each other from doing like sketch comedy university reviews, and I had other friends who'd like started stand up a bit like sooner than me and they were like, come on, let's try it. And I just think I went up there and, you know, as someone who grew up loving public speaking a bit, you know, I had a bit of that confidence of speaking in front of a crowd, but definitely that like nerves of like, what the fuck am I doing and what am I saying? And I think, you know, I think I would have gotten some titters of laughs because, you know, there's not many people in the audience at like 10 p.m. at an open mic at some fucking grungy bar, but enough to be like, oh, I didn't go completely fucking terrible, bad. You know, there must have been something in there. I was like, wow, like that exhilaration of being like, there's something here. And then I think what I felt like could have been a bomb was, surely you've heard of Raw Comedy. That's the open mic comedy competition all around the country to try and find new amateur comedians and you can like win. Have you guys done it?
Well, that's what you did. Is it? Accidentally. The boys just one moment they weren't doing it, the next moment they're up there. And like Luke was...
And that was the one that went well, right?
No, that was the one that didn't go well.
That was the one that went bad.
But that was one that Luke...
That's why we didn't hear back about the competition side of it.
But there was only like... The issue was it felt like there was like 10 people in the room.
Yeah, everyone, it was just their like... You know,
family.
Friends and family.
Yeah, the crowd had an invested interest because they were brought along by one of the other competitors.
Biased as hell. Fuck them.
Jake was the only one we bought, and he was dying.
Yes, Jake.
I heard this 2 weeks ago, but it's still good.
Get off stage, you wanker.
Well, I think you know, you would know there's like the heats and stuff. I think I did a heat, and it was at the Comedy Store, which is like one of our biggest, best venues in Sydney. And like you said, it's a very particular gigs where a lot of people have brought family, friends, workplace to like laugh at that.
Yeah.
It's like a very interesting kind of crowd. There's 3 judges. And again, I have really blue material. I'm talking about my pussy, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I think I got some laughs, but I think it was just like a whole lot for 5 minutes. And I remember feeling so like I didn't get through. And I remember feeling so mortified and like being like, oh, am I supposed to do this or whatever? But then, I don't know, you just kind of dig deep and keep going.
Yeah.
If you want. You know, not everyone does that. Some people never do it again.
That's
And I hope you boys try it again. Where are you at with it?
Yeah, we got to keep going. Build the foundation of confidence back up and get back out there.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely that. I would do gigs and then I would just be like, I can't handle this.
Yeah.
You need to have some level of like feeling like you're ready to do it.
Yeah, when we were doing our prep for the first Type 5, we messaged a guy who won a local competition that we were at.
Yeah.
We messaged him and we were like, oh, we've been writing our material for like the past like month or 2. We really liked it at the start, but now we kind of hate it because we've like heard it so much. And he's like, yeah, man, that sucks. You just got to go out there and do it.
Yeah, you'll find out pretty soon.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think I read somewhere that that event that you just were talking about was your partner in the judging panel.
Yes.
So he must have liked the
he
material
was.
enough to.
Yeah. That was also part of the reason I was mortified because I think I had this tiny crush on him. He's a really quiet person, Ben, outside of stand-up, and people kind of find that really hard to believe when they're like, how can stand-ups be shy people? But I think it's understanding that for some people stand-up is like this own, like it's telling jokes. It's a very controlled form of performance versus like being an extrovert. You know what I mean? And so he was just around the scene of when you start doing open mics, and there was just something about him where I thought he was pretty cute. And so then, but nothing was really happening because he gave me no signals that he was interested. And then, to do stand up in front of a guy you kind of think is cute and you don't make it through, I absolutely am spiraling. But, I think definitely he like saw a germ of like funniness in there, and you just learn that like you have to fail in front of people, right? Like you'll fail in front of your friends, in front of other comedians, and you just have to like brush yourself off and keep going. So I guess I just kept doing that, kept seeing him at gigs, and I was irresistible.
And so, had you met him before that, or was his first introduction to you literally, as you said, like all that blue comedy?
No, we definitely met a few times before, just on the circuit of like trialing. You know how you try and do a few gigs if you want to before the like amateur competition. You know what I mean? Because like raw comedy, it can be for people who are doing it for the first time ever that night, or it can be for people who like have want to warm up a little bit and try other open mics so it's less scary. And I had just been doing that a little bit, saw him around. I think at some party after he was like, oh my God, I'm actually judging your heat. And I was like, oh boy. But so I'd seen him a few times.
That's cool. With a strong background in improv and stand-up comedy, it's no wonder that you fit the radio format so well. What was like one sort of like learning or like challenge that you first faced when you were committed to doing radio so consistently? Because obviously you didn't do any training, you didn't go to uni for radio or anything. So what was like something that shocked you?
100 million challenges nonstop that I still face today. I'll try and think like one is learning to speak within kind of, it's generally you want 4 to 5, like 4-ish minute breaks.
Yeah.
Learning how to, I don't know, just like, if you just come from podcasting and just stand-up comedy where the limit is kind of like 5 minutes. I just think that was a really interesting way to now start packaging ideas and just conversations with someone else or whatever. Like I think that is just a natural like time thing. Another challenge was definitely like even just the language of forward promoting, back announcing. Like I feel like I found that really like hard to be confident in. And like if you're telling a story, like learning to like, you don't have forever to kind of do it. It's learning the beats and I don't know, like so much. Interviews, not asking a million questions, double asking, leaving silences. I still struggle with that one. But there's there's heaps to radio. Going from performing to a bunch of people and getting immediate feedback to just being in a room with one person, you know?
Yeah, that's cool.
I think all of those.
What about swearing?
Oh,
That seems to be a
boy.
common thing for people who aren't like radio trained.
Yeah.
But they look up F-bombs out. Did the dump button get a fair working when you first started?
That's a great question. I probably let one or two slip potentially in the early days, but I think I learnt to just keep it in. And what's so funny to me is then when people see me on other things, what people don't realize is I swear heaps. I mean, you'll know listening to this. Swearing's one of my greatest joys in life. And from being trained on air to not swear, people are like, wait, what is going on with Concetta? So yeah, definitely the not swearing takes a little bit of like focus. But now I've overdone it where I will check. I'm like, are we allowed to say bitch or balls to my producer? And they're like, Concetta, Jesus, grow up. Yes, you can say, you know, I will be like, can I say sex? And they're like, yes, say the, you know, I still don't know what I'm allowed to say, not say. I know I can't say fuck.
Did that feel good to get that out?
Yes.
It's funny listening to Triple J sometimes. It's funny that you say that there's like rules like this because some songs will have some serious profanity. Yeah. And then it comes back and you've got to talk pretty PG. That's quite interesting, isn't it?
No, it is. Totally. And then there's the language warnings of it all. Some songs have language warnings, some don't, and then they have swear words in it and like you'll get the text being like, how can you play that? I'm like, oh my God, no, don't get mad at me.
I like when you come back from a song and you're like, well, that was fuck them bitches apparently. And you're like, I can say it now, but not in a minute's time. How did the opportunity arise for yourself to get the gig on Triple J?
It truly was kukululu. It was, I got a call from my manager being like, hey, do you want to fill in on Breakfast with Bryce Mills someday next week or something like that? They were like, Ebony, his co-host is off sick or something. And I was like, fuck yeah. Like I couldn't really believe it. I couldn't, yeah.
Had you done
Honestly,
anything prior to that or was it like, because surely they knew who you were. It wasn't like you'd just been picked off the street.
It's a great question. I honestly don't think they knew who I was. The reason I was in there is because of Bryce. I think Bryce had known of me through the improv scene. Bryce had also done improv as well. And sort of, you know, in comedy, there's sort of like adjacent circles. And so, so I got the call up and I went and did literally one show and I was so nervous. And I'm trying to think if I had done something before. I can't tell if maybe the one other thing I can remember is Hobber and Hing. Hing is a stand-up comedian and I think he'd had me as a guest. They'd had, had me for some little interview over Zoom type thing. And I literally can't remember if that must have been before. And he was like, you're really good at this, like, but nothing ever really came from it. I really didn't, radio seemed very separate from stand-up and comedy to me. I really didn't know it, you know what I mean? Like radio was just on this big pedestal where I'm like, that must be for people who do, like you boys, community, and like they have a really clear vision and you have to do all this like radio stuff. And I'd done a little bit of community radio at FBI, but it kind of was in producing and I really didn't like doing that. I'm like, these aren't my skills. If this is how I have to get on air, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go the stand-up route. So yeah, Bryce I think was trialing different people because Ebony was like leaving. And so I did that one show and then they got me back for some segments and I think were like feeling me out, seeing the dynamic. And then pretty soon I was just co-hosting Breakfast.
Yeah, how cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was it hard?
It was unreal. And before the... Oh, sorry, you go.
No, you go.
Yeah, you're being
I was just going to say... I was just going to say, it's hard putting all the pieces together, but firstly, I was just... That was really fun to do that one show. And I was like, if nothing ever happens, how awesome is this? Then I think I got an email being like, hey, we want you for late nights. And I remember getting that email. I was just like doing, I was like selling bras or something. One of my countless retail jobs.
Out of the trunk of your car.
And I just remember crying and being like, whoa, like this opportunity that felt so far away, like sort of I couldn't really believe it. And then I did a segment a little bit, did like 1 or 2 late nights, and then it was pretty much the offer came in.
Yeah, that's
co-host
sick.
breakfast.
Unreal.
How did you find from going from stand-up, obviously you have as long as you want to sort of write out what you're going to talk about, to suddenly being, okay, 5 days a week, you need to fill the whole show? Because I know we do the podcast and radio once a week, and it is hard coming up with stories sometimes.
Absolutely. And you would know that you have to mind your life. You have to like switch into this gear of, is this something, is this content, like, you know, and so I guess it was getting used to that and learning that in radio you can't be precious with your ideas, and you have to keep throwing things out and see what sticks. And honestly, it can be so draining, and you can be like, oh, I have nothing, or you feel like you're hitting your head against a wall. But I think it's learning to look out for it, write it down, and also, you know, sometimes you can't rely on your personal life. So it's looking at the news and stuff like that. And then learning, you know, I learned the art of like call outs, you know, like what is a call out? How do I take this story or this news thing? And then what's something I can ask listeners that will get them to respond. So yeah, I hope I have gotten better at that.
Do you have a piece of favourite content that you've ever brought to the show, or like something that you think is you and Luka's or you and Bryce's best break, where you're like, oh, that was it. That was radio.
Whoa, that's a great question. Far out. Okay, well, I mean, it's off the top of my head. I really loved, we had this segment called Tales of the Trade, and it just came off me being like, you know when you meet someone who works in the medical industry and they always have like the craziest stories.
Yeah.
They're literally dealing with like fucking broken up, life and death, people shitting and vomiting and like, you know, like they'll trump any story that anyone has from their job. And I was like, I think I talked about that on air, and then there was like, there's something here. Why don't we just hear, who doesn't want to just hear stories from people's different jobs and like get a window into them? I mean, this is, seems like a shit example, but it's the first thing that came to my head of just a segment that allowed people, you know, we'd spotlight a career and then hear people come on and just tell the craziest stories, and that would just be so much fun.
That's cool.
I'm trying to think from Bryce and me. It's just so hard. Like, that was just so...
so early in the morning.
Yeah.
What about, like, it's
Totally.
obviously quite a passionate fan base, and you have access to the text line, for example, and that's pretty unfiltered. What sort of stuff do you get on the regular, and what's some of the worst stuff that you've had run over your eyes at 6:30 in the morning?
I mean, something that the text line loves to do is they love to diagnose you, and I'm pretty sure if I like tell a story of forgetting something, or, you know, I can be quite chaotic and scatterbrained, they'll be like, well, Concetta has ADHD, that's ADHD brain girly, like. And you know what's kind of funny, boys, is I'm actually like looking into it if I have to. But for those first 2 years I was like, what the hell, they're so confidently like diagnosing you.
Go see your doctor and you're like, what gives you this reason for being here? You're like, well, the text line seems to indicate that I get
The nation
Well,
thing.
everyone in the country's been texting me about this.
I was gonna say, like, if it is confirmed, I will go on air and be like, you guys, you were right. I will give them that credit.
One Dexy to everyone who thought that I was ADHD.
you get a Dexy.
Meet me here. Yeah, you're gonna. I sell Dexies out of the back of my car and after the bras. The hardest part is when you fill in for like when I stepped in the shoes of Ebony, like that's a really hard thing because it's change and listeners don't like change, and I think that was where you get a lot of like bring back Ebony or like shut up or like, especially being such a different energy. I reckon that was probably the roughest part, and Bryce always told me like, just don't look at the text line. That is just what happens in radio. It happened when we, you know, it's just part of the brutal change of things, and eventually the people who bolt on stay, and then everyone else will like fall away. And sometimes people will say it and then they'll get to know you and they'll be the people who love you the most. Like, it can be so fickle like that. But yeah, I think the one that would just get to me is people being like, oh, shut up, she laughs too much. Or I'm like, who can hate someone laughing? Like, all I want to do is laugh in my life, and I want other people to laugh. And that one would kind of bug me. But again, you just learn like you can't please everyone. So you just learn to sort of, brush it off.
Yeah, absolutely. If the biggest complaint is that you're having too good a time, I feel like things aren't going that badly.
Yeah, it's funny that you touched on that because we've had Liam Stapleton on the show probably this time last year, and he talked about how when they started, it was all just bring back Matt and Alex. And we had Matt O'Kine on a couple of years ago now, and he said a similar thing.
And even Will Anderson speaks about the same. Basically, anyone who's on Triple J gets, hey, why the fuck are you here? What happened to the other guy?
Yes!
As though like you shot them in the car park on the way in. Like, it's not how they wanted to leave. Like,
absolutely, totally. It's Reddit. That's what's crazy is you learn that it's cyclical. Like you're just saying, all these past people have kind of a similar experience, and I guess you just go, that's radio.
And we love Will Anderson, but if he was still doing Triple J, I don't think the audience would be super stoked with that.
Exactly. They don't know what they want.
No, exactly right.
Working at Triple J, you get the chance to interview some amazing people. The likes of Margot Robbie, Zendaya,
Jamie Lee Curtis recently.
Yeah, Billie Eilish, and my favourite, Olivia Rodrigo. Who's been the nicest or most memorable person that you've got to interview over your time at Triple J?
Okay, obsessed that Riley loves Olivia Rodrigo, O-Rod fan. So cool.
How was she?
She was so beautiful and like so sweet, like just a very sweet, generous. When people have like an energy, she was very like giving in her sweet kind of like inviting energy, which makes you feel like comfortable when you're meeting a total superstar. And she was very lovely. And who else was really, luckily most of these people are cool. Whereas like Billie Eilish was very lovely, but just, I don't know, like really cool in a different way to Olivia, you know what I mean? Like a bit more like a different kind of energy. And then who else? I would say the Lindsay Lohan and Jamie, just because that was the most recent. Lindsay was quite like reserved, again, really sweet, but the more quiet, and Jamie was the more like talkative one in the interview. And she can be like, what's the word? Like throw a curveball or something like that. Like, so when she like at the end of the interview put me on her lap, I sort of wasn't expecting that. You know what I mean? I really, like she just has that energy of like, I couldn't really believe it. But everyone so far has been truly, like people always want to know if anyone sucked, and there hasn't been anyone truly yet.
That's cool. How does it work with because I think with the Olivia Rodrigo one, I think I watched like everyone's interview of that. So I saw like your one, like I think Fifi and Fev, Fifi and Fev, and then like
Tim and Ricky did one.
Yeah, Tim and Ricky Lee from Nova, and then I was like, hey, do you guys like high five on the way in and out? Like how quickly are these turnarounds with these interviewed people? And then like what do you guys talk about? Or does Olivia Rodrigo and people just like sit there quietly as they wait for the next person to come in? What's like the behind the scenes of it all?
Great question. Yeah, they have to keep it so tight because, it's a superstar. They want to preserve their energy and make sure people aren't going over and everyone sort of keeps to time. You're kind of kept a bit, I guess the word is separate. Like I'm just sitting with my little team waiting for our time. And I think I remember seeing Ricky Lee and Tim, but I was too shy to sort of say hello. So you're just kind of in passing. But I reckon, they're probably friends with like your smallsy and your other people. And maybe if you know each other, you're making more of an effort and time to like see each other. But I reckon, honestly, yes, it's Olivia sitting like waiting, and they try and keep people just sort of coming through. So they just blast through all the publicity.
Wow. How long does it go for?
Yeah,
like,
that's
do you know how long
they're
sitting there? And then you only get like 5 minutes with them. And it seems pretty strict. Yes. It always seems like you're looking off camera to someone who's saying, all right, wrap it up, buddy.
It is. Oh my God, that is the secret of the junket. It is so strict because everyone around you is tense because they're trying to do their job of keep to time. They're signaling you 1 minute. They'll be like 1 minute. They'll cut in no matter where you are. They will try and, but they just have to be really on it with time, and your job is to kind of drown that out and like lock in for that for that small time and like, you know, connect with that artist. I mean, again, in the Jamie Lee one, just because it happened recently, maybe they'll even tell you, oh, you've got 7 minutes, you've got 8 minutes. But if they're running late, your time can be cut to 5 minutes. I was in the middle of asking a question and they just cut in and were like, nah, sorry. And I remember being like, oh, well, that's it. Like, what can you do? Like, you can't be, you
need time to wrap up?
Yeah, essentially. But it was kind of like, well, that's it. Thank you. And, you know, what are you going to do? They know, like, the celebrities know junkets, how they kind of work. And then that's when, like, the photo part happens.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's pretty like in and out, like a moving machine. And you just have to wait, get in there, make your time while everyone else is being like, quick, and then move on and just hope there's a good moment and hope that, you know, you bring something unique. I think that's the part for junkets of you're like, what's a question I can ask? Because you need to keep it to all the very same topic, whether it's the movie or it's an album or it's a tour. And it's the art is like thinking of questions that, you know, are unique versus being like, what do you think of Australia? You don't want to say a question that every single person has said.
Yeah, that's fair.
You've done a fair bit over the, like, just even within the last 3 years that you've been doing radio and then a lot of TV stuff as well. You've met some fantastic people. Has there been a specific, like, pinch me moment where you're looking around and going, wow, never thought that this would be taking place?
Wow. That's a great question. I mean, surely Taskmaster, like, is a show. And that happens straight into getting breakfast. So it's like
That's
my
a
life changed
whirlwind.
once. And
yeah, wow.
that is, it was unreal. I remember just sobbing. I remember falling to the floor. Sorry to be dramatic, but that's kind of my thing. And I got the call and in ABC at Triple J and just falling to the floor. Like I couldn't believe it. Because you boys would know, it's like the greatest show for comedians in the world.
Yeah.
And I think that was every day. Like as I filmed it, I just could not believe that I got to do that. And I just wanted to have the best time. And yeah, I think also one of my favorite comedians in the country, in the world, is Ann Edmonds.
Yep.
And anytime I get to do something with her, and literally like she's now the host of Talking About Your Gen, the reboot of that old show, and getting to do that, and she's a host, like I get really emotional. Like that's where I go, I can't believe I get to work with someone who I just think like is a pioneer of comedy and someone I really look up to. That's something that never gets old, and I feel very lucky.
Anne seems to get mentioned a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts and a lot of stuff like Will Anderson in particular. And Anne's impact on like the next generation of comedians and in particular like female comedians is huge. She often talks about my man Sam Campbell quite a bit as well. She seems to really like Sammy.
Yeah.
How was your season of Taskmaster? There was some great people on there. How did you find you fit into it all?
Yeah, I feel like I loved my cast. Like I really couldn't believe my cast. I feel like everyone was so unique and perfect. Like who doesn't love Chenny? Like everything he says is gold. Reese Nicholson, fucking hilarious. Like these incredible quips, like just such a unique point of view. I remember Peter Hellier was maybe the one I knew the least in terms of like sensibility and comedy and stuff. And he was one of my favorites to watch. Like when we went to studio and I'm watching, I didn't realize how silly he is. Silly. He's not afraid to like be the butt of the joke, to go over. Like I just found myself doubled over for Peter Hellier, which was like such a fun like discovery. And then Mel Buttle is so sharp and so incredible, and working with her, like I loved our Bert and Ernie. Like, you know, I'd be like, yay, and she'd be like, no, Concetta. And I think that all worked really well. So I really loved my cast. That made me so happy to like watch everyone have these really different takes. I think I fit in great. I was so lucky because I was friends with Tom Cashman, and I felt so excited to see him every day, to like just try and make my one friend laugh. And I'm also so happy to be there that I just was in hysterics and trying lots of different things. So I felt like I had a great time doing, I left everything out there. I did my best. I remember thinking like, God, should I have cared about winning more? Because honestly, every day I just wanted to be silly and funny. And so I tried to win in the studio, but honestly, for all the tasks, I was just like trying to have fun, and I wasn't really thinking about winning.
I don't think anyone thinks about winning. It's not like Australian Idol where you can list off like the first few words. Like as long as you made people laugh, that's sort of the key.
Totally. I honestly think some people really care about winning. And Taskmaster is set up for competition and for people who want to win. But obviously these people are either naturally funny or you're going for the laugh. But
it would be funny if someone won, but everyone who watched it hates them.
Like there's no laughs. They just got it done. Meticulous about how they did the tasks. How did you find, was it a bit of a whirlwind in the sense that like you were immediately on radio and then told you're on TV? Was there any amount of like, if it was me, for example, there'd be so much imposter syndrome. Like, am I in a dream? Do you know what I mean? Like all of this is happening within the space of a couple of months. How did you cope with all of that?
Oh my God. I absolutely had imposter syndrome. Like, especially if you've got a text line telling you to shut the fuck up, stop talking, stop laughing. Like, you don't know what you're doing, and you're literally learning how to do something in front of the whole country. Like that, I think I felt very vulnerable. And the way I coped is honestly like my partner, my boyfriend, my like Ben, who I've already just talked about, like having someone who knows who you are and you feel seen and comfortable with, and because he's also a comedian, it like feels even more connected. That he would just, be my rock and someone who I could talk to. And then obviously it's like the team around you being like, no, you've got this, learning to just keep going, like advice like from Bryce, being like, just don't read into it. Like I think it's just, I absolutely had it, but what else can you do? You've just got to show up every day and you just somehow do it anyway. And I can still absolutely feel it. And it's just learning to, I don't know, just take the wins, I think that I'm trying to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. When you're on Taskmaster, obviously, with Aaron Chen and stuff, I hear a lot of people talking about how that's just how he is all the time. Is that true? And do you think you could break him? Or did you have a normal chat with him where you were like, oh, this is a weird side of Aaron Chen I'm not used to?
Aaron is like, absolutely can have normal chats. He is actually like so sweet and normal. It's still his essence is who he is as a comedian, is still who he is like off stage. I think he just has that natural comedic timing, and it's just a bit amped up when you're performing or whatever. But no, he was so sweet. And when you get an Aaron Chen laugh, that feels like joy. That feels joyous. That feels so amazing.
Oh, very cool.
How did you find doing a show like that is going to be edited compared to doing like live radio and stand-up? Were you just sort of shooting from the hip a bit more?
Well, I think I remember being like, that's really scary to be like your whole stuff is just left in the hands of someone else. I remember being like, what is going to happen in the edit? Again, I remember thinking like all my funny stuff was me, like a lot of funny stuff came from me and Cashman riffing and, not necessarily direct like task-based things. And I remembered thinking like, oh, I've blown it. Like none of that will make it. Like what have I done? And two things. One is I remember I was speaking to Guy Montgomery and his advice is like that, like this show particularly, it's all in the edit, but the edit is built to make you look good. Like, when you were joking before being like, imagine there's a winner and everyone hates. I'm like, it's actually impossible in the show. That it's built to showcase the best moments, and that's why it's one of the best shows in the world and just keeps going for 100 million seasons, is because it just shows what makes you unique, what makes you funny. So he was like, this is the one thing where you just don't worry about the edit. I'm not on maths. They're not going to make me look like a bitch. And so that was an interesting thing of being like, okay, so I can listen to someone who I really respect and has done it, of being like, just trust. This is where editing is the star of the show. And two, then when I watched, and I think it's proof there, is that when the show came out, they kept in a lot of my stuff with Cashman, and a lot of the feedback I got from all the fans was like, that was the stuff that they loved the most. So again, if that doesn't show like they know what they're sort of, they didn't just put that all on the cutting room floor. They were like, oh, that shows this dynamic and that's important and that's in the show. I go, oh, awesome. Like that's really, I was so shocked by that because I didn't know what the edit would be. And then the edit included all that stuff that is my favorite moments of the show.
I think it was good because I've watched all the seasons and like, especially the Australian ones, and no one really has as much of a crack at Tom as what you did. And you could tell there was this friendship and like a mutual respect, especially watching there. You're like, no one normally goes Tom like that. Like they must be close. Do you know what I mean? Or she hates him.
Oh, that's so cool. No, totally. I think I just locked in because it was just, I just loved him and loved making him laugh and just had so much fun of seeing what he would throw back at me.
Yeah.
And because everyone else has to not laugh, you know?
Correct,
so
yeah.
like if my whole thing is I want to lock in and make the other person laugh, then it's going to be Tom. And so that's what I did. It was just easy to just keep funneling.
And what is the situation actually like? Because I know you go to New Zealand for like a couple of weeks to shoot the actual tasks. What's that like? And then how long a break do you get before you're in the studio then rewatching yourself back going, I don't remember doing any of that?
Totally. So it's actually, if from memory, I think it was like 4 days or 3 days, something like less than 5 days. Don't quote me. But it's like 4 full days in New Zealand of like back-to-back tasks. And, you know, it's all the scheduling of it all. Of like you can't have them crossover or, you know, there is a bit of crossover for your joint tasks and you're not supposed to know kind of thing. But they're full-on days where it's like, you know, back to back to back to back. Anytime between tasks, you're being taken to a room. You have to sit. You don't get to like look at anything or do it. You just get to like lie in the bed and just wait for the next thing. And
is that a fun process or is that quite boring? And
It is fun, but it would also sometimes be really draining. And I remember doing some tasks being like, oh, I feel so like tired and low energy. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not being funny. I'm like, I must be. And I would freak out about that of being like, hang on, I'm not being my like happy, high energy self because I'm tired and I've done 100 crazy tasks.
Yeah.
And the director and Tom would be like, no, this is part of it. Like, again, you're doing everything back to back, but the edit could go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like they will factor that in. So it's just like, let yourself be, which was helpful. So that's that part. You kind of blow through it. And I got days off radio to do that. Then they leave several months, right? I can't tell you specifically how many months, but it's so that they can work on that edit and really flesh out and put things together. And also then it means like, you don't remember exactly what you've done.
Yeah.
And then the studio was 2 records a night for 5 nights. And this was where I was really like, I was doing radio in the morning and I was exhausted and I'd never done anything like it. And I was really scared for the studio because I'm now with people who have all done heaps of TV, feel really confident in front of a studio audience. It's like locking into a very different, honestly, I was like going crazy. I had to like call my therapist in the middle of that week because I'm being like, I'm so stressed. I feel like if you want to talk imposter syndrome, like that is all flaring up. And it was learning like you're on no sleep. So your brain is not firing like as well as it can and it sees more things as a threat and just kind of being like, but just also let go and just do your best. And, you know, there's a lot of like self-talk stuff in there. But
so maybe we're just mad at Tom Cashman.
Yes. Yeah. That is actually part of it. But also the studio is like not as big of a thing. You know, it's about your task, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So in the end, it all comes out in the wash and it was fine. But they're like kind of long nights. But I honestly, I think you can see in the edits, I look half asleep for some of it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool to hear about. It would be a remiss of us not to talk about the best day on the Australian calendar year, Hottest 100.
My birthday. Oh, okay, yeah.
I heard Ash McGregor talk about this recently. Apparently there's a Hottest 100 bunker. Could you talk us through what the bunker is?
Okay, well, it's not literally underground. It is just a room in the ABC. And I think it's, again, I actually don't know heaps, but all I know is it's people in the team, like in the Wider Triple J's team whose whole job is to count votes. I think they do the like checking that people aren't double voting and stuff like that. I think of it as like, you know, when you vote in Australia for like a politics and there's like actual people like counting the ballots and checking everything. I think it's essentially like that, but you know, you vote online. And I've never been inside, but I walk past it and they, you know, they're like, it's crazy. Like they're doing the job that results in what we do on air. Like they're the ones that actually, it's what they do is very, very important, of like literally looking at every single vote and doing all the tallies. I can't even imagine it.
Yeah. And there's like betting markets and stuff for this as well. So, I mean, it's a huge responsibility to be in that room and to not tell anyone about anything. Is there any other cool behind the scenes stuff that happens on Triple J Hottest 100 Day that us as listeners every single year wouldn't know about?
Well, I mean, every time I did the project, they were for sure thinking I knew exactly who had won and what was happening. And every time I'd be like, no, they show us just before we go on so that there isn't that kind of like possibility to leak. And that is true of like, you know, they kind of just before you go on, they're showing you the list.
Just enough time.
You know, it's not like I have it. Yeah. Can I be honest with you boys? I've never looked up the...
Do you want me to test? Yeah, okay. There's audio. That was weird.
Sweet. Yeah. You got on that quick.
You're about to tell us something.
Yeah.
I'm like, never mind. What was I saying? I think I was just saying...
The sports bet,
I've
Rose.
never looked at the... I've never looked it up. I've never seen it. I actually didn't realize that people are fully betting on the number one. I've literally never looked at it.
Oh, wow. Jake's won a bit of money on Billie Eilish a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I did actually.
Really?
I didn't have a hot tip or anything. I just backed myself in.
Happy to hear it. That's cool. What else is behind the scenes for the Hottest 100? I don't know. It's just it actually can be a quite calm day once you're like in it. The text line is bonkers. I like the text line, like you don't see it, like glitches because there's so many texts. It's just watching your friends and other, because I've mainly done the 20 to 1 part. You're looking out the window and there's all your friends just all like chilling or whatever. This year for the Hottest 100 of all the Australian songs.
Yeah, yep.
That was the first time I hadn't done the 21, and it was so fun to watch someone else have the pressure point. Like that was really cool to just have, just like to be a fan and just to like watch along. That was like a nice experience.
That's awesome. Here's a question. You know how like usually here's another
What were the other ones? What have we been talking about?
Oh, it's a bit different from you, Riley. You've mainly been saying statements. What?
So you know how you usually get like the winner or like someone who comes in, fifth on the phone. You want to talk to them. How does that work? Like with revealing whether or not they're the first. So say if you had like when you had like Ocean Alley and Spacey Jane as 1 and 2, like, and they come into the studio for the chat live on air, or even when the Wiggles won and they were in the studio, like surely you're pretty aware when Jeff the Wiggles walking past, you're like, they're gonna win. Yeah.
That's so interesting because I didn't do the Wiggles one, so I literally like don't know. But I think about the one that I did, and this is maybe different because it was on Zoom. But I reckon, if they're coming in, and I think they ideally like want the artist to come in.
Yeah.
And the only reason they can't is if they're like overseas or whatever. You would probably know something is, it's giving like when you're at the Oscars and you're like near the front. It's like you probably think you're in the ballpark of like going up somewhere. But I remember for me like presenting Dom Dollar the year he got like 4th and 3rd or something.
Yeah.
Like you just have them on and they don't know. I think Triple J does the work of talking to the management to keep that moment quite. So the artist has that moment of surprise. Like I think we're all in show business enough to know like you don't want to kind of spoil it, or maybe they're just good actors. I really don't know. But from when I'm interviewing Dom Dollar, like he has no idea that he's like gone back to back. So you get to, they're like in the ballpark, but they're hearing live on air like, whoa, like, oh my God, I'm 3rd. Or I remember G-Flip having a really emotional response to coming, I think it was 2nd. I was like, God, they're all blurring together.
Yeah,
but
she had like heaps of songs in. She had like 10 songs in the count or something.
Yeah, they'd sort of like broken a record, and I think they like must know something, but genuinely, like I don't think they really try and do the work on the biggest day of all time for them to like there to be that level of surprise. And no matter what, like you're just gonna be excited, even if you know, like you're just like, how can you not like have this incredible reaction of being celebrated by the entire country.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
You would have worked with some fantastic people over your journey. Is there one piece of positive advice that you received, one piece of good advice, I guess, that you've received over the journey that what sits with you every day?
Wow. I guess it's just, I don't know, like maybe something I think about really early is like when I was doing radio and I didn't know, when I talk about not knowing how to back announce, or I think I felt really like stupid, but I remember Bryce kind of telling me like, don't worry about that. Like, because you're unique to you, like lean into that. Like everyone knows the classic Triple J, like people make a million TikToks and shit about it being like Triple J sounds like that. You know what I mean? Like that's its own sort of genre. And I think it was, you want to learn the rules of radio, but it's learning like what makes you unique and authentic.
Yeah. That's fair.
And I think that's just something I try to do, of like the more I lean into being myself, which can sometimes make you feel alienated and scared, and people being like, shut the fuck up, or you don't sound like others, that ultimately that's the thing that every time you feel fear, just lean into being yourself more. That's what I'm still trying to do, of feeling brave enough to just be me, and that the ones who bolt on are the real ones, and then everyone else, like you're not going to get everyone.
I like it. Be
So I think
yourself.
I try to
Everyone
think
else is
that.
taken. That's good.
Yeah.
What about some...
Yeah, I saw it on a bumper sticker just before I came here.
What about the worst piece of advice you've ever been given? You don't have to credit this to anyone. I just love hearing terrible advice. People who give you
Totally.
terrible advice are usually people you don't want to hear advice, or you didn't ask for advice from.
That's such a great question. Who was bad advice from? Nothing is coming. I'm just trying to think if there's anything radio specific.
It can be life. It doesn't have to be radio specific.
Oh yeah. What is bad advice I've gotten? Imagine I'm like, the bad advice I've gotten is be like everyone else. Not kind of flying in the face of mine. I'm so sorry. I also feel like I'm falling asleep. But I'm like, I can't think of anything bad. I bet you the second this interview ends, I'll be like, fuck, I just remembered like this really terrible piece of advice. But nothing is coming to me. I'm so sorry.
Is that a commonality? The afternoon crash, waking up at 4 a.m. every day for radio?
Guys, it was, yes. But last night specifically, I couldn't sleep, and I'm watching Survivor, so I've only had like a few hours. And honestly, it's one of the nights, I haven't had these in a while, where I like tossing and turning. You know those nights where you wake up every hour? So I'm on my third coffee. Like I'm trying to be up, but this isn't a special bad sleep. So I hope I'm not being dog shit. I wanted to be high energy for you. I'm trying.
You've done great.
You have done a great job. When do you go to sleep if you're going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning?
This is bad.
3 o'clock in the morning.
It really varies, but I think for the past 2.5 years, I've never had enough sleep. It can be ranging from 4 hours to 5 hours. My average is like 6,
Nice.
5 or 6 hours.
Do you nap during the
So-
day, or is that just counterintuitive to trying to sleep? Yeah, okay.
No, that is counterintuitive. So I need to push through the whole day. Like I can't, once I nap, it wigs
over.
me out, and then I can't go to bed later. I really try and exhaust myself. And also it's nice because sometimes it feels like having 2 days, like 2 days in one day, because I finish and it's still sunshine.
Yeah, true.
And so I like using that to do my other comedy stuff or just rest, or I've become addicted to the doing things off peak. I had a planning day recently, 9 to 5, and I hated it. I hated it. It was like, where's your day gone? Like, that's fucked. Like, how do people, like, you boys do it? I really like, I've gotten so used to it, of finishing it like in the middle of the day, that I'll just try and like do other things and then try to go to bed. It's generally like between 9 and 10.
Fair enough.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you take that. You've obviously done so much. I've only got like 1 or 2 more questions. You've done so much in like the last 3 years. Where do you envision yourself being in 5 years?
Wow. This is honestly something I'm thinking about now of being like, girly, what's the plan? Like, what do you want to do?
Do you look at
And
other
I
Triple J
think-
presenters who have gone on to like Liam, Ben and Liam at the moment, or Matt and Alex, who have done who's done the same shift as you? Do you look at them for inspiration, or is it the complete opposite, or what?
No. Well, there's all things that they've done that I really admire. Like, obviously, Matt, I love that he's like created TV series, that he's like a stand-up, that he still like does podcasting and stuff. And then Liam, like, I mean, he's so funny with his videos, and to me, he's like, you know, a radio dot. Like, he's an actual, like, the Dreamers radio. And, you know, Ben, Liam and Belle, I love them so much. They're people I've gotten advice from, and they've been so generous. I guess in my head, I'm like, there's no clear career or blueprint that I look to. But all I'd like to say is, for me in comedy, I always want to be doing different things. Like, I was never wanting to be one thing of just stand-up. I want to be doing improv, stand-up, acting. I want to be hosting. I hope in 5 years I'm touring and doing more live, because that's really special, getting to connect with people that way. And I also, I hope there's more radio in the future, who knows? But I'd also love to act and be hosting TV, though I think I'd like a really varied career. And I wonder if the 4AMs are still in my future in 5 years. I'm kind of hoping not.
That's fair enough. No, that sounds fantastic. And I think when you do comedy, it does lend itself to just being quite as varied as you want to make it as well.
Yeah, that's why I want to do it. I like doing different things and working with different people and firing off different parts of the brain.
Yeah, do you still do much stand-up now, or is having, the breakfast shift get in the way of that a bit?
It definitely gets in the way, especially like the starting. Like, there's always something different. Like, when I started, it was like just getting used to it. So stand-up kind of had to cool it. Then I got nodules, which is like when your voice can be overused. A lot of teachers and performers and stuff get it, where you kind of get calluses on your vocal cords.
Yeah. Oh.
And that means you kind of have to look after your voice, speak less. You need to do vocal therapy. So I've had a really up and down sort of journey with stand-up. And sometimes I'll book big gigs and then I want to, like, you know, practice and do more gigs. I'm hoping for the next little while I can gig alongside doing breakfast, but it's like a constant juggling act.
Yeah.
Like, of, can I fit this in? Where's my energy levels at? But I do find that when I'm doing both, again, it's doing that thing of firing off different parts, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, fantastic.
Bravo.
Well, Concetta, thank you so much for joining us. We've had the best time chatting with you. As we do with every guest on the MacPack podcast, we award them with a MacPack cap. So this is our VIP cap, and all of them get embroidered with a specific number based on where the person who we're talking to appears on said podcast. And so you're coming in as number 34. So we'll be sure to get that one out for you. You'll be joining the likes of some big wigs.
Ben Lee was our last one, right?
Yeah.
Ben Lee was our last one, yeah.
Hoppo from
Bondo Rescue, Matt O'Kine, Liam Stapleton, Tim Blackwell. The list will go on.
Couple of AFL players.
Yeah, but you're joining that sort of alumni.
So
That
thank you
is
very much.
such a sick lineup. I'm honestly so honored, and truly, like, I'm so excited for your future. I think I'm really excited by you guys, and I hope we stay in touch. And I love your passion for what you do, and I'm so glad thanks for listening to me. And I hope I get to talk to you again when I'm less tired.
Yeah, we'll come over to Sydney and we'll have to link up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. That was an unreal chat.
Thanks, boys. Talk soon.
What an absolute legend.
That was a good chat, boys.
Yeah, she lives up to the hype of like a breakfast persona.
She's
Yeah,
genuinely
yeah.
just like a really genuine person. It doesn't surprise me at all. Like some of the opportunities that she has had and since dominated since receiving them, like having that chat with her, she just meets you at a level that you can't dispute.
Yeah, it's funny because whenever there are people who like, obviously most people, their stage sort of presence is like the upped version of themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with something like that, like her on breakfast is like so nice and stuff. I can't imagine in my head we like come into here flicker on, and then it's just her like Sunny smoking. Like, all right, we gotta get this over. Like just completely
Looking like
different.
Goob from Meet the Robinsons. Just
Yeah.
All right, boys, I don't have enough time for this shit.
She is what she says on what she is. She is what she is, and why would you not?
Are you gonna say she is what she says on the tin?
I was.
Yeah, she's not. She's
Doesn't
not on
really.
any tins. No, she's an absolute legend. Very genuine as well. Incredibly nice. Very incredibly nice person.
Yeah, my favorite thing to hear about was the press junket stuff and the hottest 100. Just the behind the scenes of it all.
Riley loves the showbiz.
Yeah,
I was
right.
amazed about Taskmaster because when you watch the show, it doesn't feel like they've done all that in 4 days.
No,
It seems like it's weeks of them, even just setting up some of the tasks.
some of the stuff I've heard a few people say that they do so many more tasks than you see, which must be so more. It's like it looks exhausting enough from what you see, but apparently some of the shit that you do, I did really well in that task, and then you're sitting
Not
there
on
in the
there.
studio, and they never show it, and you're like, oh fuck. What are they going to show? Because I thought that was the thing that, I dominated in that task.
That was going to win me the whole damn season.
Yeah, but she was fantastic. Really cool to have a chat to her. She's done some fantastic stuff on the panels as well, like panel shows.
Yeah.
Which we didn't get into too much detail.
It's
but
not the hot seat. Oh no, not.
hot seat, what with Eddie Maguire.
Yeah.
She would be good
She's
on
done
that.
Question Everything. She actually
What's
hilariously
the other one? Cheap seat.
cheap
Cheap
seats.
seats.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
does stuff with Charlie Pickering as well.
Yeah.
She was actually sat. I had a look last night in an episode of Question Everything with Will Anderson. She was sat next to Luke Heggie.
Oh, yeah,
That was the first episode.
Was it? Well, not ever. Was it?
I think it was. I was looking it up last night, also on Wikipedia.
next
What
time.
are the chances?
Next time they see each other, they could be
They'll be
wearing
wearing
the
the
same hat.
Oh, imagine that.
Where'd you get that from?
She was stoked about that as well.
She did really like the hat. I wasn't sure if she'd like the hat.
About, yeah.
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 It's a cool hat. I mean, how could you not like it?
It is one of the great hats. The people who wear the hats love the hats.
It's a one of one.
Matt O'Kine has been sighted wearing the hat in public.
Yeah, doing
Yeah.
his Dabwood dog.
Yeah.
Yes, the ledge.
I even saw that, liked it, and then I didn't realize he was wearing
Our hat.
the hat until it was sent.
See, it's not like a funny hat. It's not a weird.
It's just
It's not a costume. Like
it's a
it's
cool
just a
hat.
cool hat.
It's a black dad cap with sick writing on it in our cool font with a number on the side.
What more could you want?
What more could you want?
It is what it says on the tin. It's a backpack cap.
Kate always wears his to the gym and stuff. Like, like in the last.
It's funny. I
year,
love
he's
I
been
love
rocking-
that as well. I love that like someone like just our mates have some of the hats.
Yeah.
When we're chatting with Concetta, at no point did I think, oh yeah, and Kate gets
Kate.
her own. He's got one as well. She's like, what the fuck is that?
Craigsy.
Have you met Craigsy?
You should.
One of Corpus Christi's arguably the best bloke who's ever walked out of that building.
Yeah.
I never heard of him. So yeah,
But yeah, no, it was a good episode.
fantastic.
Pleasure chatting with Concetta.
She's an absolute superstar. Hope you enjoyed listening to our conversation with her. Until we do this time next week.
Lock it in,
Stay
Eddie.
safe. Yeah, she wasn't on Millionaire.
What
Do you
if
know
he
who I
was?
would like to have on the pod? And I thought about this week, and I might as well mention it now.
Eddie Maguire.
His son Xander.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's good, yeah.
Or Eddie Maguire. Or both.
When the footy season's over.
Which it may
Surely
well
he'll
be.
be-
It may well actually already be
Could be.
over.
Could be now. I haven't checked the date today.
Boys, until we do this time next week, stay safe, stay blessed, and always remember to
Go give your mum.
it's jumping out, but not forever.